Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kim. Tonight's video is all about the pantry. I've recently changed my mind about having a pantry. What's going to be in. Okay, welcome to my new and improved pantry. Just a backstory. We live in an 1,100 square foot apartment with radiant heat, neighbors below us. This is the only space in our apartment where we can have a pantry. And for years I was kind of against having a pantry. I grew up with multiple pantries and those food stuffs never being used, that saving for a rainy day or economy up and down or whatever the case may be, food that always ended up being thrown out. And that was from the time I was 7 until I was 17. So a lot of years of looking at can expirations for my mom and rotating stock and it not going to any use, and all that money spent for nothing. And when I went out on my own, I didn't have money until the first probably 5 years of my marriage, and that would have been when I was in my 30s. And I changed our diet from eating, like boxed foods, processed foods, restaurant foods, and canned foods to a whole food where we were picking up our food from farm stands and stuff. And that's how I was able to restore a lot of my health, was just eating a whole food diet, eliminating sugar, eliminating processed. And when I went to the doctor before I quit drinking, they were basically saying I had all kinds of different things involved due to not having the proper nutrients and being malnourished and being an alcoholic for several years. So practicing alcoholic. So I was able to restore my health, and I still see the same physician to this day who just can't get over it. So that was the whole and total reason, was a change in lifestyle and a change in diet. So we didn't have a pantry then either for a number of years until just the last 5 years. And in the last 5 years, as prices have gone up and down, and pretty much stayed, I decided I wanted to have kind of a backstock of things before the price went up that following day or the next week or the next month. So I have built a pantry, but I want to look at my pantry as something different. I want to look at it as a helper, as an assistant to my daily plan, meal plan, menu plan, as an assistant to our budget, something that assists us with staying in our budget, eating proper or eating the foods that we like and having those foods on hand, rather than look at it as a place just to stash a bunch of cans in case this happens or in case that happens, because that's how I grew up. We were, like I said, my mom was always saving for this, economic upturn or downturn, or, we were farmers. I grew up on a farm, so money, it wasn't a fixed income by any means. It fluctuated greatly, and she stashed a lot of cans, but in that stash she couldn't control the dates, or the she was a stickler for expiry dates, and she had too much stock to be able to rotate appropriately, so she needed my help a lot, which I was happy to do. But there was just such an abundance of things that none of them were ever used. The expiry dates occurred, and then she panicked, and then we went and bought more, and then we stashed those someplace else, and then it just became an unmanageable task. So that's a lot of what I grew up with, and I became the type of person that just wanted everything neat and clean and cut and dried, and just did without a pantry. But as you can see, I have a pantry now, and I'm very, very happy with it because I look at it in a different way than I've ever looked at pantries. This is something that's going to help us, assist us, help me create meals. I will create meals from this. This will be the first place that I look for things that we need to use and utilize, and then go to the refrigerator for things that can accompany whatever is back here, or to the freezer, and then just consistently rotate in and rotate out. And so we start with things like chickpeas. I want to make some hummus, so I bought a can of that. The black beans, and when you see that there might be organic, or there's a label that's a fancy label, that's just because there was no other product in a can available at the time, because I would have gladly bought just a Great Value black beans, but the only ones on the shelf at the Walmart we shopped at were the organic black beans. So I want to make some black bean soup. I also want to make, I think there's burritos that I can make. Sliced carrots are for when I want to make a quick casserole or a quick soup. and I don't need to peel carrots. I would rather peel carrots, but I often don't have time, so then I just don't make the soup. So this kind of helps that out. I always have Bush's baked beans, and I've always had them in stock, and so I've got a number behind each item that I want to have in this pantry. So for instance, I want to have at least 6 cans of Bush's beans. I bought those at like the 96 cents, and so I don't know whether they will or will not continue to go up. The Frank's Kraut, at least 2 cans of that. Those are 96 cents. It is a 30 to 90 day pantry, leaning mostly on the 30, but I would like to build it up to the 90. I just need the funds. So I've got Prego. We have spaghetti every week, so in that case I would need 12 of those, and I think that I have 6. So I would only have enough for a month and a half. And then we have peeled tomatoes. I do make a vegetable soup with lentils, and so I've got that for that vegetable soup. Tomato sauce also for that same thing, or our ratatouille. There's my Campbell's soup. I like to have at least 3 of those a month, so I think I have 2.5 months there. My husband's applesauce for work, some chicken broth that I picked up that I can actually eat because it doesn't have onion and garlic, and jam for our birds. Pineapple. I do like canned fruit once in a while, so I like just the pineapple. I used to like fruit cocktail, but they don't really make that anymore. Down on this shelf, we have some stock of chicken broth. So I want to have at least 2 or 3 of those if I can't buy roasting chickens. At least 2 ketchups. You see I only have 1. At least 2 mustards. I only have 1. 1 pickle relish is fine. I buy my husband's coleslaw, 6 containers at a time from a third-party seller on Walmart. A picnic mayonnaise, and then 1 back stock of mayonnaise and 1 in the refrigerator. Always have 2 Skippies on hand, some sprays for cooking in that, and some olive oil. Usually have at least 1 of the olive oil, 2 of the cooking sprays. So I'll have a clipboard with the amounts that I need, and then we'll just look at the clipboard versus what we have here in stock and see if we can't work towards that 90 day. Obviously, I'm going to need more room. There we have Aunt Nellie's beets for salads. We should really have 2. We should have 2 manwich because my husband prefers that over homemade sloppy joes. We have some canned chicken. We have packages of tuna and salmon. So that is that shelf, and this shelf up here has some salads that we need to use up. This is kind of the use up shelf on this side. We have some potato flakes from Instant Potatoes, some beans that I'm going to make ham soup from leftover ham or ham hocks. We have some spaghetti noodles. I bought an abundance of those, so I had like 3 times this. Now I'm down to just like 2 containers in a small box. Lots of elbow macaroni, so I have 2 boxes of elbow macaroni plus the jar with the elbow macaroni, and then I have lasagna and shells for salad this summer. More pinto beans, some stuff to sprinkle on top of salads, cranberry seeds and pumpkin seeds, and then a 2-pound bag of rice. So if I want to bring this up to a 90-day assistant to my meal plan, help me with planning meals, help me save money, help me from going to the grocery store, but not deplete my pantry, I'd like to do 90 days. So I'm going to show you a part of the pantry that's never been seen. And just imagine, even though what you see now, it was 3 or 4 times this. It was this entire shelf full of stuff that you're going to see now. So now we just have plastic containers that are almost empty. So we have a few little chocolates there and a Mentos container of cookies, some Snickers bars, some little mini bars, some goldfish crackers, and some animal crackers. And then we have a couple bags of chips. We have some peanut mix. And then we have all of the pastes and sauces and whatever's that I'm going to use for stir fry and ratatouille. All the spices are there. Down here on this shelf we should have 2 boxes of cereal for each, but we don't. Some cookies, there's my gum, salt. Then we have a little section that just has some pumpkin mix and some condensed milk or the other kind of milk, evaporated milk to make pumpkin. A drink mix, there's our jellos in case we don't feel good. Some raisins, some apple cider vinegar, and down here is baking items. So I have flour, sugar, confectioner's sugar, brown sugar, and then I have some jelly beans for Easter. My husband has Sam's Cola. There's the backup of gum, I think that was featured in a recent video. So what'll be all cleared out of here is this whole top shelf is snacks, goodies, sweets, sugar, and my husband has told me that come after Easter, he's done with this type of stuff. So this whole shelf will be empty. This shelf here with chips, I would imagine that we'll always have a bag of chips, so there'll be a couple of bags of chips, but there'll be room here. This down here, once I get the pumpkin used up, and I don't know what else, get some rearranging done here, I'll have room here. And hopefully we can get from the 30 to 45 day pantry up to at least a 60-day pantry. Again, I'm trying to look at my pantry as something other than just a place to put a bunch of cans or packages that I rotate in and rotate out when I'm low on money, or when a catastrophe happens, or if I get sick and we can't go to the grocery store, whatever the case may be, because those are all what ifs, and we just don't really have the income to support what ifs. I know that they're wonderful and great if a what if happens, but we've never really had the money to, as far as food goes, to stock a bunch of food for the what ifs. But I definitely feel comfortable putting food in the pantry and at the best price that I can, and then going to my pantry and utilizing it as a meal planning assistant. And then restocking as I can, doing a restock, either a gentle restock or a generous restock when we're able to, but definitely always keeping the things in here that we need in order to assist me in making meals, so that I don't have to go to the grocery store as often and I can save money. And some of this is very convenient, so obviously I can make more casseroles if I have sliced carrots, but I don't have time to slice actual carrots, and so on and so forth with everything. So I'm going to try to create at least 10, possibly 12 meals out of what I have right now, and then look up other meals that I can create and see what pantry goods I could buy when I can afford to create even more meals. So that is my pantry tour, March 2026.